Hey, is getting bigger and stronger a big thing for you this offseason?
Yeah, I lost weight but gained muscle, so I lost about 10 pounds since the season ended. But I feel like I've gotten a lot stronger than I've ever been, I guess.
Have you been tested at all strength-wise to show, I guess, is there a quantitative way to show how much stronger you've gotten?
We do the 225 test, and the last time we tested I did 7. And when I got in, I could do like 1 or 2.
When you got here, okay. So what do you weigh now?
Like 223.
Okay. The battle you have with Steven coming up, I mean, I guess, are you excited about it, nervous about it? You know, sort of talk about your feelings about what it's going to be like in the fall competing with him.
It's mostly excitement, just ready to get out and compete. He's finally back off injury, so he can be out there and throw with us. And we're just going to both push each other so hard over these next couple months into the season that regardless of who wins the job, they're going to be ready.
Do you think one of you is a little ahead of the other right now, just heading into the offseason and fall ball?
I would guess me, because he didn't play spring, so he had to sit back, so he's still got to get back into it. Still recovering. He doesn't know what his physical limitations are yet. And hopefully he's back to 100% so he doesn't have any. But it should be a fun season.
How tough is it going to be? I mean, one of you obviously has to be a starter, one has to be a backup. I mean, how tough is it going to be for whoever does have to be the backup?
I don't know, because both of us want to play so bad, but at the end of the day, we both want what's best for the team, and that's still just a win. So whoever's the best player that the coaches feel is the best quarterback.
Can you talk about Lockhart and Malcolm Lewis? I guess you guys have thrown with them a little bit. Can you talk about each of them and what they sort of bring to the table for you guys?
I played with Malcolm in high school, so I have a pretty good feel for him. We just brought back a little chemistry we had since high school. We could just look at each other and call Ross from high school, but I got to get him out of that into our new terms. But he's just a good route runner, good hands. Lockhart, he's a bigger, taller receiver. He's more of the go-get-it type jump ball receiver. We got to get him in and out of his routes a little better, working on him a little bit today.
Is there anybody that Lockhart reminds you of, just in sort of the way he plays?
Talking about like from our team or from...
I mean, it could be LeRon Burr. I mean, whoever it is, just in the way that he is and plays. It could be anybody.
I don't know. I haven't seen much of him.
Okay.
We were asking over there when the first time you and Steven kind of met. You guys faced each other twice. Steven said in high school, and his first impression of you was tall. And then once you went to Miramar, the only white guy. What was your first impression of Steven?
First impression of Steven, probably his arm strength, just the way he can throw the ball. You don't see that in very many people. I know he used to be a pitcher, so he's got that the whip in him. So when he lets it go, it's going pretty fast.
Did this offense do as well as you had hoped it would this spring?
Yeah, I felt like the spring was good. Maybe the spring game was a little bit of a letdown compared to the first scrimmage, but as a whole, we made so much progress. There's no negative, really, just a bunch of learning experiences.
Do you have a sense yet for if sort of, when the season comes, some teams' defense carries the team, some teams' offense carries the team? What do you sort of foresee for this team just based on what we've seen so far?
Well, hopefully we can be an all-around team. We don't have to rely on one or the other, and we can just get back to the old days where it'd be big scores on the offense and shutouts on the defense, and that's what we hope for, but we don't know yet.
What was coaches' post-spring feedback for you? I know everybody gets to meet with the coaches after the spring ended within a couple of days. I guess what was their feedback on how you did?
For the most part, they felt like I did good, stepping up when Steven went out. They just want to see more leadership, being able to coach my teammates instead of just help them get better around.
What was your, I guess, feeding off of that, because you transferred over, do you think that'll come obviously then with time, since you're not necessarily new to the program, getting to know the guys better? Or
Yeah, my first year really wasn't, being a quarterback, you have to be a vocal leader, but my first transfer year, I can't really come out and start yelling and telling people what to do, because I don't know. I didn't know the offense, so I was sitting back and learning. I was pretty much a freshman again, but it was a good learning experience.
What was your, welcome to the U moment, when you knew that you
Probably last summer, my first day, we ran the ramp with our conditioning, and we started running. I was so out of shape compared to everyone else, and it was just terrible that day. And then I realized that it was a completely different level than what I'm used to.
How would you say you've adjusted to this offense? I know that Memphis, when they switched to the spread, you transfer down here. How have you adapted to the offense so far?
It hasn't been hard. I ran some of it, some similar stuff at Memphis and as well as high school. So it hasn't been too hard, just learning the terms and stuff and getting everything down.
How do you feel that the spring helped you in terms of going into the fall and really, I mean, obviously Steven's had a couple of years here. How do you feel like that spring helped you maybe catch up to where going into the fall and trying to make a push for the job?
Yeah, it just helped me get a good overall understanding of the offense and what needs to be done. I finally got to go out and get reps of it. I got a few last fall, but I couldn't really play, so Steven and Jacory really got most of the reps, and now I got actually a chance to go out and rep it with the first team offense, and I feel like just my general knowledge of the offense grew so much over spring.
What would you give yourself as a grade, Ryan, for your work in the spring? If you were a professor, how would you rate yourself, grade yourself?
I don't know. I guess I'd have to give myself an A. I'm not.
Good answer.
I'm not going to put myself down, but it was just a learning experience. There's not really negative you can take from spring because it was all positive. Getting used to everything. Probably wish I could have did a little better in the spring game, but just stuff you had learned from.
Not to make excuses, but how frustrating, not frustrating, but how tough was it? You kind of had it stacked against you because you were missing so many guys. So it's almost like you went out there with, without a full arsenal of playmakers. Was that tough in the spring?
Not really. We expect whoever's there to step up and make plays, and regardless if it's Alan Hearns, but he was hurt, so he wasn't there. So Rayshawn stepped up, Phillip stepped up, and even when the walk-on kids came in and had to take reps, we expect them to be just as good.
What excites you? What playmakers? You talked about a couple of them, but who excites you offensively on this team that can make plays?
Really, just the whole receiving core. They're all young. The only one that's really played a lot is Allen last year, and Phillip played a little bit last year as well. But just excited to see how they come back on their second year of really playing. With Rayshawn too, he got hurt last year. Just excited to see how they grow.
Ryan, how do you, Steven was saying that you guys have been buddies since early on in high school. How do you balance that friendship with competing for this job? There's only one quarterback position. So, how do you deal with that? Have you ever had to deal with that?
Yeah, I had a quarterback competition when I first got to Memphis, but me and Steven's a little different because I've known him since high school. It's kind of like fighting with your brother. You always want to win, but at the end of the day, you want what's best for each other.
What did you see the dynamic between him and Jacory that made it work last year where those two got along? What did you see from those two in terms of why that worked?
It helped not divide the team. When the two quarterbacks competing are friends instead of enemies, then you don't get the separation of the team. Like half the people want Jacory or half the people want Steven. And it just comes, the unity of the team just comes that much better.
Have you guys talked about that, Ryan, that no matter what happens in the fall, you're not going to let that happen, any sort of division, you guys are going to be on the same page as far as the team first. Have you had that discussion with them?
We haven't had that discussion. I think it's just understood that we won't let it get to that point because we're ultimately here for the team, not for ourselves.
How confident are you that you could be the starter by the season's end?
I wouldn't be here if I wasn't confident in myself, and if I can't believe in my own abilities, then I wouldn't expect someone else to.
How much do you and Steven feel like, because you're the quarterbacks, because you're looked at as leaders, that you really have to push this team through the offseason and kind of outwork everybody to get a leg up, if you will?
Yeah, we're definitely taking on ourselves to get the offense going. Coach Fish isn't going to be out there with us for these next couple of months, so it's up to us to make sure we're on the right page and doing everything right.
Ryan, who do you think could be a breakout player for this team this year, like a Streeter last year?
Well, Mike James was sat behind Lamar last year. He got really the second team carries, but now he's really our primary back with OT coming off. So maybe he can get things started in the run game. He's more of a power back. He's not exactly have the speed that Lamar had, but I think he'd be very solid for us. Alan Hearns, who was hurt some of last year, he's going to be real good.
Steven said he really hopes that Kendall kind of comes around this last year. What have you seen from him that has you hopeful that maybe this will be a good year for him?
Kendall's real quiet, so you never really know where he is, but when he's on the field, you always see him making plays. that's just the type of person he is. He expects himself to do good, and so he's not really into celebrating or anything because he expects to make the play. But when he's on the field and he gets the ball in his hands, it's some of the things he can do is unreal.
Are you a big fan of the gold shoes?
Yeah, it's the gold standard.
Seems like an odd choice, but that's your thing, huh?
Yeah.
Did you have to order those, or did you find them in the
These
store?
are